Hey everyone, I had a couple of quick announcements, hopefully they'll be quick, on the second day of Unit 2. Today is Thursday, March 3rd, and we are entering the second day of assignment, so today we'll be doing the connection steps and the journal entries. I will be providing feedback on your timeline ID steps and your work on Twitter as soon as I can today. I'm going to do the Twitter feedback last because it looks like everyone's off to a pretty good start there. The comments that I've seen in terms of your reading of the materials, watching the films, and your responses to one another have been pretty good. So I'll provide feedback on that second. I want to provide feedback on the timeline assignment first, because with Unit 2, I always give my classes the opportunity of revising and resubmitting in order to earn up to full credit. So I know that many of us don't have experience using Tiki-Taki or doing a timeline assignment. That's the reason that I offer this chance with Unit 2. If you read my feedback and see the response and you decide you want to revise your entry, you don't have to submit another Word document to Blackboard. Instead, you can just make your changes right on Tiki-Taki, but then you'll have to email me to let me know that you've done that so that I will know to go and reread your entry and update your score. In terms of a few things to look for, I haven't read your work on the timeline yet. That's what I'll be doing as soon as I post this video. But common things that I usually see with the timeline assignment the first time around have to do with historical significance and with issues of remembering to post your link to your outside source and or your video or image. So as far as the historical significance part of things goes, that is the substantive element of the timeline assignment. You will have already written a paragraph that kind of concisely defines and explains who, what, where, why, that sort of thing about your topic. The historical significance piece is to then explain the so what, the who cares. And I've had editors before who have said that's the thing that you really need to have in your work, because that's the piece where you're presenting your analysis, your interpretation of the evidence that you've looked at. And as we've mentioned in Unit 1 when we talked about what is history and historical thinking, this is where you apply historical thinking. So if you look back over your timeline entry and you haven't answered that question of so what, this is why this is important, make sure that you do that in an explicit way. That doesn't mean that you have to say, the historical significance of this is, and then write something. But instead, it's, again, explaining why this person matters or why this event matters in the overall course of New Mexico history. It is possible to list a bunch of things that are significant about your topic without actually addressing historical significance. So keep that in mind. So if you have mentioned a bunch of things that are important, that's great. That's part of the timeline assignment. But you need to take that extra step for analysis to explain why those things matter, why those things are important. Also keep in mind that just because something was the first, that isn't automatically significant. It might be part of your explanation of historical significance, but just saying this mattered because it was first, it doesn't necessarily. That doesn't matter. You have to connect it to the broader picture and explain where it fits in order to address historical significance. Hopefully that makes sense in the context of what we've discussed regarding historical thinking and the tutorials that I've put up on historical significance in the timeline assignment tab on Blackboard. Also make sure that you add your link to your outside source on Tiki-Taki and that you embed an image or a video. The points that you get for those things are just for having those present. So I am a stickler on taking off some points if you didn't include those on Tiki-Taki. All of that said, a few of us have noticed that Tiki-Taki will log us out if too many are trying to work on the timeline at the same time. That tends to be a problem only with the intersession because we're all working on things at the same time. If you find that you are working in the 11 o'clock hour one night and you're trying to post your ID step to Tiki-Taki and you keep getting logged out and you're getting frustrated and it keeps happening, just go ahead, submit your work on Blackboard, make a note that that happened so that I will know that you were facing that issue, and then go ahead and take a deep breath and try again the next day in the morning or whenever you get a chance. I do want you to still post your work to Tiki-Taki, however, because others will need to see it in order to make connections for the connection step. Hopefully that makes sense. So Tiki-Taki, like all digital tools, has its quirks. That's the one that we have to deal with because we're using it as a free version. So it's unfortunate. I think it's still worth it in terms of the end results. Hopefully we can kind of bear with that and work around it. Let's see. I think those were the main things I wanted to mention. I'll be giving specific feedback on the reading tweets as well. Do include as much detail as you can in your tweets. Part of the reason to use Twitter, as well as being an informal space to talk about the readings and the issues that are coming up, is also you have to be concise. And so it's a practice in concise writing, and also, while being concise, also including important details. So keep those two things in mind as you're trying to balance what you're writing on Twitter. All right, so hopefully that's helpful, those ideas, that information. Please let me know what questions you have, whether about doing your revisions on the timeline, about the assignments themselves, or about how to embed your image or your link. There are explanations of that in the video tutorial, so watch that if you haven't yet. And otherwise, I look forward to continuing our work together.